Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, November 5th, Monday, November 6th, for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and thank you so much for tuning in to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live tonight from the Mile High Clubhouse. If you're listening live right now, you may be listening to us on KPNL Radio. If not, you can find it at KPNL Radio at kpnl-bb.com. You can also listen to us live on eTalk Radio, which you can find on etalk.tv/radio. If you like to watch, you can go ahead and tune in under We Are Paradox Media on Facebook, as well as YouTube and Twitch. On Twitch, it's just one word, We Are Paradox Media. Otherwise, there's spaces. If you want to listen to us in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, you can tune in basically anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Hello, Richard. You're on YouTube tonight. Aren't you usually over on Twitch? Aren't you one of my Twitches? So tonight we're doing story time with me, TessaTNT. Sorry about last night. We had Mr. Allen Wright on, and he was so very gracious and patient with me. We rescheduled him for next Sunday, and then this Saturday we have Dean McMurray. And he's a military medium. He spent quite a lot of time in the military, but now he's just out there trying to help people any way he can. So we're going to continue with our book from Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know if you used to watch him when you were a kid, but I used to, and I used to really enjoy it. And his movies were just really messed up. I don't know, isn't it funny how you'd think like some people might be really cool or whatnot, but from what I've heard, he was a real jerk, but I really love his work. I guess sometimes you have to be a jerk in order to achieve your dreams. I don't know. It's better to be nice. You can bait more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. So here we are, Alfred Hitchcock's Monster Museum. And there's some pretty interesting art in here. Well, shuddery stories for daring young readers. Well, it might have been written for young readers, but I've been enjoying it. So I don't know if you guys recall, last time we did story time, it was about the microscopic giants. And so they had poured this concrete, and it was weird because they poured this concrete on this, and I don't even know why they did this, but on this, kind of smudgy old rock or whatever. It was, kind of muddy, even though it was down quite a ways. And they would see things moving through this concrete. The concrete ended up settling as like somewhat opaque, like you could see through it, you could see into it for quite a distance, and there was little men, they're called little giants. It's pretty interesting. If you didn't hear it last time, you should go back and listen to the beginning of the story, because the way they're talking about how the matter of these little guys, which are only like 2 feet tall maybe, their matter is so dense or whatnot that their feet would sink into the rock. They were saying these are like millions of years old, but in reality it was just the mass of these little tiny baby giants on top of the rocks. Their mass was more than the rocks, kind of like paradox. "The slugs are going right through the things," yelled Belmont, pointing behind the mannequins. Long scars in the rock floor told where the lead had ricocheted, but I shook my head in a more profound wonder than that of Belmont's. "The bullets aren't going through them, they're going through the bullets. The stuff they're made of is denser than lead." The little man with a tiny rod took one more step forward, and then I saw something that had been lost for the time being in the face of things even more startling. I saw how the tiny tracks had been made. And I don't know why they're calling them mannequins, but I guess that's just a little name for these little guys. They're no pretty weird. So as the mannequin stepped forward, I saw his advancing foot sink into the rock of the floor till the soles of his metallic-looking shoes were buried. The small figure weighed so much that it sank into stone as a man would sink into ooze. And now the microscopic rod flamed a little at the tip, and I heard Belmont scream just once. He fell, and I looked at him with a shock too great for comprehension, so that I simply stood there stupidly and saw without really feeling any emotion. The entire right half of Belmont's chest was gone. It was only a crater that gapped out as holes gape over spots where shells bury themselves deep and explode up and out. There had been no sound and no flash other than the minute. It's spelled minute. Maybe I should just say it that way, but I think it's minute. The minute speck of flame tipping the mannequin's rod. At one moment, Belmont had been whole. The next, he was dead, with half his chest gone. That was all. I heard myself screaming and felt my gun buck in my hand as I emptied it. Then the infinitesimal rod turned my way, and I felt a slight shock and stared at my right wrist where a hand and a gun had once been. I heard my own yells, as from a great distance. I felt no pain. There are nerve shocks too great for pain sensation. I felt only crazed, stupefied rage. I leaped at the three little figures. With all my strength, I swung my heavy-booted foot at one of the rod. There was death in that swing. I wanted to kill these three. I was berserk, with no thought in mind other than to rend and tear and smash. That kick would have killed an ox, I think. It caught the little man in the middle of the back, and I screamed again and sank to the floor with the white-hot rod of broken small bones spiking my brain. That agony, less than the shock of losing a hand, I could feel all right, and in a blind haze of it, I saw the little man smile bleakly and reach out his tiny hand toward Belmont, disregarding me as utterly as though I no longer existed. And then, through the fog of my agony, I saw yet another wonder. The little man lifted Belmont's dead body. With one hand, and apparently with no more effort than I would have made to pick up a pebble, he swung the body 2 inches off the floor and started toward the concrete wall with it. I tried to follow, crawling on my knees, but one of the other little men dashed his fist against my thigh. It sank in my flesh till his arm was buried to the shoulder. Jeez, oh Pete. And the mannequin staggered off balance with a lack of resistance. He withdrew his arm. There was no mark in the fabric of my clothing, and I could feel no puncture in my thigh. The little man stared perplexed at me, and then at his fist. Then he joined the other two. They were at the face of the concrete wall again. I saw that they were beginning to look as though in distress. They were panting, and the one with the rod was pressing his hand against his chest. They looked at each other, and I thought a message was passed among them. A message of haste? I think so. For the one picked up Belmont again, and all three stepped into the concrete. I saw them forge slowly ahead through it, and I saw Belmont at arm's length of the little man who dragged him, flattened against the smooth side of the stuff. I think I went a little mad, then, as I understood, at last, just what had happened. The little men had killed Belmont as a specimen, just as a man might kill a rare insect. They wanted to take him back to their own deep realms and study him, and they were trying to drag him through the solid concrete. It offered only normal resistance to their own compacted tons of weight, and it didn't occur to them what it would do to Belmont's body. I flung myself at the wall and clawed at it with my left hand. The body of my friend was suspended there, flattened against it, as the little man within tried to make solid matter go through solid matter, ignorant of the limitation of the laws of physics as we on Earth's surface know them. They were in extreme distress now. Even in my pain and madness I could see that. Their mouths were open like the mouths of fish gasping in air. I saw one clutch the leader's arm and point urgently downward. The leader raised his tiny rod. Once more, I saw the infinitesimal flash at its tip. Infinitesimal. Then I saw a 6-foot hole yawn in the concrete around Belmont's body. What was their ammunition? Tiny pellets of gas, so compressed at the depths they inhabited that it was solid, and then expanded enormously when released at these pressures? No one will ever know, I hope. In one last effort, the leader dragged the body of my friend into the hole in the concrete. Then, when it stubbornly refused to follow into the substance through which they could force their own bodies, they gave up. One of the 3 staggered and fell, sinking in the concrete as an overcome diver might sink through water to the ocean's bed. The other 2 picked him up and carried him, down and away. Down and away, down from the floor of the 40,000-foot level, and away from the surface of the concrete wall. I saw the luminous trails they left in the concrete fade into indistinct swirls and finally die. I saw my friend's form sag back from the hole in the concrete to sink to the floor. And then I saw nothing but the still form and the ragged 6-foot crater that had been blown soundlessly into the solid concrete by some mysterious explosive that had come from a thing no larger than a thick pin and less than half an inch long. They found me an hour later. Men who had come down to see why neither Belmont nor I answered the ring of the radiophone, connecting the low level with the surface. Hello, beautiful Sister Sandra. Are you back from Africa yet? It looked very exciting. My uncle, who then became like my dad, he always wanted to go on a mission to Africa, and my aunt, who is now my mom, was like, hell no, I ain't going to Africa. Sorry you had to smell that stinky, rotting hippopotamus. They found me an hour later, men who had come down to see why neither Belmont nor I answered the ring of the radiophone, connecting the low level with the surface. They found me raving beside Belmont's body, and they held my arms with straps as they led me to the shaft. They tried me for murder and sabotage, for next day I got away from the men long enough to sink explosive into the 40,000-foot level and blow it up so that none could work there again. But the verdict was not guilty in both cases. Belmont had died, and I had lost my right hand in an explosion, the cause of which was unknown. The military court had decided on that. And I had been insane from shock when I destroyed the low level, which, even with the world famished for copper, was almost too far down to be commercially profitable anyway. They freed me, and I wrote in my report, and some filing clerk had, no doubt, shrugged at its impossibility and put it in a still cabinet where it will be forever ignored. But there was one thing that cannot be ignored. That is, those mannequins, those microscopic giants, if ever they decide to return by slow stages of pressure acclimation to the Earth's surface. Myriads of them, tiny things, weighing incredible tons, forging through labyrinths, composed of soft veins of rock, like deep-sea divers, floating laboriously, but normally through impeding water. Being as civilized as ourselves, if not more so, with infinitely deadly weapons, and practically invulnerable to any weapons we might try to turn against them. Will they tunnel upward someday and decide calmly and leisurely to take possession of a world that is green and fair, instead of black and buried? If they do, I hope it will not be in my lifetime. Those guys sound creepy. Well, welcome back home, Sandra. I bet you missed it. How's the beats? So this one is by Jerome Bixby, and it's called The Young One. Old Buster was suddenly crouched on stiff legs right up out of a sound sleep, and his ears were laid back flat against his head, and he was letting out deep, wet-sounding growl he always used on rattlers. Young Johnny Stevens looked up in surprise. The new kid was standing out in the middle of the road, about 10 feet away. He'd come up so silently, Johnny hadn't even known he was there, until Old Buster let out that growl. Johnny stopped whittling. He sat there on the damp, tree-shaded grass in front of the Stevens farmhouse, his big silver-mounted hunting knife in one hand and a shave stick in the other, and stared at Old Buster. The dog's head was down, his eyes were up and slitted on the new kid. His lips were curled back, tight against his teeth. Johnny started to reach for Buster's scruff, afraid he was getting set to attack. But Buster gave him a mean, panicky, sideways glance, and Johnny pulled back his hand because he knew his dog. Then Buster whined. His toe went between his legs, and he started to walk backward, one slow step after another. He emerged from the shade of the big elm, where he'd been sleeping at Johnny's feet ever since lunch, and kept going backward until he was about 20 feet up the lawn toward the house. Then he stopped and threw back his head as if to howl, but he didn't. He held the pose for a second, his eyes glaring on the new kid, down along the sides of his muzzle, and then he turned and ran around the corner of the house. Buster had never, ever run from bear. Johnny had once had to drag him off the scent of one. Johnny turned to look at the new kid, mad, clear through, and curious as heck at the same time. The kid looked friendly, curious, and kind of lost. He was dark and thin, with big eyes. His short, stiff black hair fit his long skull like a cap. His voice had a funny accent, and it was kind of hesitant, almost like he was afraid to talk. "Hello," he said. Johnny Stevens stood up. Wood shavings spilled off his lap onto the grass. "What did you do to Buster?" he demanded. I don't know. Dogs just don't like me. I'm sorry I frightened him." Johnny scowled. "You didn't frighten him," he denied, formally. "He must have seen something across the road." "It was me," said the new kid softly. Johnny turned to look at the corner of the house. Buster was poking his head around, low down, ears still back. The new kid looked over that way too, and Buster ducked out of sight like he was yanked. A second later, Johnny heard the dog's claws gallop across the cellar door along the side of the house, and he knew Buster must be heading for the field out back, where he went and hid whenever he was punished. Johnny scowled harder. "Who are you?" "Kovacs. Hello." Johnny didn't answer, just stared suspiciously. "What are you making?" Kovacs asked after a minute. "I don't know," Johnny said. Then, because that didn't sound smart, he added, "A cane, maybe? Or a fishing rod?" "Kovacs what?" "Bella. That's a funny name. What is yours?" "Johnny Stevens." "Hello, Johnny," Kovacs Belda said again, hopefully. "Hello," Johnny said sourly. Kovacs Bella came to the edge of the road where it gave onto a slope of rock on root-studded dirt that rose a few feet to Stevens' lawn. There he stopped, his thin shadow lying up the slope in front of him, as if he were waiting to be invited. Johnny sat down again, still scowling. He didn't say anything. Kovacs half turned, looking down the road over his shoulder, as if sorry he'd stopped. They watched a couple robins chase each other through the sun-bleached rails of the fence across the road. Summer heat danced along the waving tips of the wheat in the field beyond, and shimmered up the green-brown sides of the low hillocks that lined the old creek bed. Johnny started whittling again. "You from that new family who bought the old Berman place?" he asked. "Yes." "Moved in last week, didn't you? I heard about it." "Yes." The robins, tired of darting through the fence rails, and set off across the wheat field, wings blurring, bodies almost brushing the carpet of tips. "We played around there a lot," Johnny grunted. The Berman place? Guess we can't now 'cause you moved in. Kovik's Bella was silent. We used the silo for a robber hideout, Johnny said, accusingly. Silo? Don't you know what that is? Kovic shook his dark head. It's the big round building like a tin can. They're kind of dumb. Kovic bit his lip and stood silently, his big dark eyes unhappy. Do you want me to go away? He asked. Sure, said Johnny, still feeling mean. Kovic started to turn away, and with that aimless look to his movements, that means one is going no place in particular, just leaving. Johnny relented a little. I was just kidding. Come on, sit down. Kovic's Bella stood for a moment, then smiled hesitantly, and came up the dirt slope into the shade of trees. He sank to the grass and curled his legs under him with an oddly graceful motion. Thank you, he said. Johnny peeled a long sliver of bark off of the stick with his big razor-sharp knife. I want to know what you did to Buster. Why'd you make him act that way? Animals just don't like me. Why? My father once said it is the way we smell. Kovic's voice trailed off. I don't know. They don't like us. Us, you mean your whole family? Yes. You're a funny guy. Where you from? They don't have silos? You talk funny too. I'm from Hungary. Johnny looked closely at Kovic's Bella, taking in the dark features, the big eyes, the soft mouth. There was something about the face that disturbed him, but he couldn't pin it down. Oh, a foreigner. I guess Buster never saw a foreigner before. The two robins or another pair came hedge-hopping back over the wheat fields, marked up over the fence, over the road, and into the uppermost branches of the tree directly overhead. They set up a loud chirping and commenced flitting from branch to branch. Where are you from? Kovic's Bella asked. Right here, Michigan. Johnny thought for a second, balancing his big knife on one finger and heavy blade on one side, silver-mounted handle in the other. There's Bela Lugosi in the movies. He's always a monster or something. But Bella's his first name. It is my first name too in Hungary. The first name comes last. I should have said my name is Bela Kovacs. That is the way you would say it there. Johnny shook his head as if wondering at the crazy things foreigners did, and the crazy way they must smell, to wake old Buster up and send him kiting the way that Bella had. Without being obvious about it, he tried to get a whiff of Bela Kovacs, but he couldn't smell a thing. Well, dogs could smell lots more than people. Old Buster sure must have. Bela Kovacs had noticed the head shake. He said a little defensively, I talk English well, don't I? Johnny started to deprecate, but he said instead, honestly, yeah, I gotta admit, you talk pretty good. We have been in America for almost a year, in New York, and my father taught English to me and my mother before we came. Johnny was working up considerable interest in his first foreigner. You mean your father's English? He's Hungarian. He had to teach himself first. It took him a long time, but he said we had to move, and America was the best place for us to go. We brought over some paintings, and my father sold them to buy the farm. Your father paints pictures? I like the way he says pictures. Pictures? My grandfather painted them. He was a famous artist in Hungary. What did you mean you had to move? We just had to. We had to move to a new country. That's what Father said. Bela Kovacs looked around at the blue summer sky, the heat-shimmering hillocks, the grove of trees that lay along the landscape like clean green cushions, the dusty road that wound through low hills to Harrisville, 30 miles to the east. I am glad we finally moved out here. I did not like New York. In Hungary, we lived in the country. The two robins had been hopping lower and lower in the tree overhead. And now they dropped side by side from the bottom branches to the lawn, where they began searching the thick grass for insects. One hopped to within a few feet of Bella Kovacs, who still sat with his legs curled under him, in that relaxed yet curiously still spring position. Suddenly the robin rose, cocked its head, regarded the boy, and a startled beady eye. Then it chirped a thin note, and both birds streaked away across the lawn as fast as they could go. Johnny stared after them. "I like birds," Bella Kovacs said wistfully. "I would not hurt them. I wish they liked me. I wish animals did not hate us." Johnny began to work up even more interest in his first foreigner, because maybe it wasn't the way he smelled after all. Because birds could hardly smell anything. Then he noticed something funny. Bella Kovacs was still looking at the place where the robins had vanished, and Johnny saw what it was that had disturbed him about Bella's face ever since he'd first seen it. "You have funny eyebrows," he said. "They're awful thick, and they meet in the middle. They grow all the way across. Kinda like a caterpillar." Bella didn't look at him. The remark seemed to have brought back his shyness. He lowered his head and raised one slender hand to the side of his face, as if wanting to conceal the eyebrows. "Don't look at my brow." After a second, Johnny was sorry he'd said anything. "Heck, that's okay," he said. "Look, I haven't got any end on this finger." He held up the pinky he'd caught in the wheel on the well 2 years ago. Bella Kovacs stared at the smooth pink end, and his straight bar of brows rose to the outsides. "We're all different," Johnny said, and realized that, curiously, where he had before been teasing this new kid, he was now trying almost to console him, and he wondered more than ever what could be wrong with Bella Kovacs to make him act so funny. Guilty almost, like he was ashamed of something. Something he was maybe afraid people might find out. Makes you wonder. Bella was sitting in the same position, but somehow he seemed smaller than before. Like my shirt. Play your Paradox Media. His hand was still up to his face. "We're all different," Johnny said again. "My dad always tells me that, and he says it doesn't matter. He says for me never to care where anybody comes from or how funny they look, or anything like that. That's why I don't mind you being a foreigner. I'm sorry Buster acted that way. I'm sorry he acted the way he did." Bella Kovacs said muffledly, "I'm so different." "No, I am." Bella looked at Johnny's finger. "I was born different." "No," Johnny said again, because he couldn't think of anything else to say. Heck, he knew Bella Kovacs was different. Anybody could see that, and he was itching to know what the mystery was all about. He said uncomfortably, "Want a hike or something?" "Hike? Go walking." Johnny stood up and shoved the hunting knife in his belt. "Come on, Bella. There's lots of swell places to play. I'll show 'em to you. There's the Hollow Tree, and the Indian Fort, and—" "A real Indian fort?" Bella said, looking up finally, dark eyes wide. "Nah, we built it out of rocks, and there's the cave back in the hills, miles of 'em. You go in through a little chink that don't look like nothing at all, and then you flash the light arc, and there's walls that look like waving cloth, all pink and green and blue, and secret passages, and stalactites, and stalagmites, and holes where you can't even see the bottom. They're so deep." "That sounds wonderful," Bella Kovacs said. "Will you take me there, Johnny?" "Sure, come on." Pick up my flashlight. Johnny started up the lawn toward the house. Bella rose gracefully to his feet, as if the still spring had suddenly uncoiled, and walked a few steps after Johnny. Then he stopped and looked at the high summer sun. "What is the time?" he asked. "Oh, about 3 o'clock, I guess." "Is it far to the caves?" 2-3 miles. Bella looked at the grass at his feet. "I have to be home by 7 o'clock." "We can make it easy. Come on." Johnny started off again. Bella fell into step. "Johnny." "Yeah?" "I have to be home by 7. "Why?" I just have to. My parents will be terribly angry if I'm not." "We will not get lost or go too far away, will we?" "Heck no, I know the caves better than anybody." Johnny glanced sideways at Bella. "Won't your parents let you play at night?" "Mine do." "It's only on certain days that I can't go out at night. Certain times of the month." "Why?" "I can't tell you, but I have to be home by 7. Johnny was intrigued by this new addition to the mystery. "Don't worry," he said. "Nothing will happen." They reached the front porch. "Wait here," said Johnny. He went into the house and into the kitchen, where Mom was already working on supper. I miss dinner being called supper. And supper was always something special for guests. Johnny got his flashlight from under the sink. Mom looked up from the chicken she was stuffing. "What are you doing, dear?" "Going to the caves." Mom frowned. "I wish you'd stay away from that place, Johnny. I wish your father would do something to make you. It's so dangerous. They go on for miles. Suppose you got lost sometime." "I won't get lost," Johnny said contemptuously. "I know every inch." "Suppose the flashlight failed?" "Oh, Mom, don't worry. I'm just going to show the new kid around." "The new kid?" "Bela Kovacs. His family bought the old Berman place." Mom looked surprised and a little pleased. "So they have a little boy. Now you'll have a new playmate. Is he a nice boy?" Johnny juggled the flashlight. "Well, he's kind of funny. He's a foreigner from Hungary. That's in Europe. I guess he's all right. I'd like to meet him." "He's right outside waiting. Come on, I'll introduce you." Johnny started through the house toward the porch where he'd left Bella. Mom smiled and wiped her hands on the towel and followed. They were just passing through the front room when they heard old Buster barking and snarling like he'd gone crazy. Buster had Bela Kovacs backed against the front porch steps and was snacking back and forth in front of the boy as if he wanted to attack worse. Oh, snaking, not snacking. Sorry. Worse than anything else in the world, but was afraid to. Bella's dark face had gone bone-colored, and he was half crouched in an almost animal position, looking ready to move instantly in any direction, including straight up. Johnny Stevens dropped over the porch rail and lit beside Bella and shouted, "Buster, cut it out! Stop it!" Old Buster looked at him with the red lamp eyes of a mad dog. Watery froth dripped from his stretched lips. His tail was curled so hard between his legs that it pressed up along his belly. He trembled so hard he could hardly stand, but Johnny knew that, scared or not, Buster was set to attack any second. Johnny hissed and clapped his hands in front of him, hard and fast. That meant Buster had better get or end up with a sore rump. Buster took a prowling, back high, head low step forward. His lips were so curled that his head seemed half teeth. Mom screamed from the porch, "Johnny, come away!" And Johnny turned his head frantically to look at her, and Buster chose that moment to charge Bela Kovacs. Then everything happened, almost too fast to see. Johnny felt a tug at his belt, where he'd stuck the hunting knife, and saw Bela Kovacs swing the heavy blade at Buster's head. Old Buster lost heart and turned and ran again, howling his heart out. Bela Kovacs screamed, "Silver! The knife is silver!" And he dropped the knife and ran off across the lawn, crying and flapping the hand he'd grabbed the knife handle with. He turned and ran down the road, faster than Johnny had ever seen a kid run. Johnny's mother was off the porch and on her knees, frantically examining Johnny to see if he'd been bitten, and Johnny's father drove up just then in the station wagon, craned his neck after Bela Kovacs, and asked what in the heck was going on. After supper, the grown-ups sat around and talked about the new family before starting to play bridge. I've never played that. Everybody who had met either Mr. or Mrs. Kovacs seemed to like them all right. That was the consensus. Mrs. Young said that McIntyre, the grocer, who was generally looked up to as a pretty good judge of character, had let it be known yesterday that Mr. Kovacs had impressed him favorably. Mr. Kovacs had come in to stock up on food and some implements, and McIntyre had tried to pump him, and Mr. Kovacs had answered the right questions and resisted the rest pleasantly, and McIntyre had liked that. And Mrs. Kovacs had waited outside the store in the Kovacs' old Dodge, and 3 ladies had said she seemed like a nice woman, even if a little foreign-looking. And Junior Murdoch at the gas station said that the Kovacs' Dodge was in very good shape for its age and showed signs of recent careful overhauling. And Murdoch liked people who cared for their cars, particularly old cars that someone else might lose pride in. He thought it told a lot about them. Nobody thought them too strange, it seemed, just foreign. Mrs. Young and Johnny's mom decided, on the basis of the evidence, to suggest the next meeting of the Ladies' Club that Mrs. Kovacs be invited to join. Then the talk got around that what happened had happened this afternoon. Old Buster had come back around 5 o'clock, sneaking out of his hideaway in the field and looking around each time before he put his paw down for a step. While Mom and Johnny had stayed inside and watched through the front window, and Johnny had blinked back tears of worry, Dad had gone out with his pistol in one hand and coaxed Buster over to him, and, with a gun to the animal's head, examined him carefully. Why would he point the gun at his head while he's examining him? That's weird. Dad knew a lot about animals. Old Buster wagged his tail and took a couple of laps out of the pan of water Dad carried in his hand. Dad came back and said, "He's okay. I don't know what got into him. There are some people animals just hate, and I guess the Kovacs boy is one of them. It's nothing against him from what Johnny says. He likes animals himself. They just don't like him." "He tried to kill Buster," Johnny said. "He'd been mad about that all afternoon. He took my knife and tried to kill Buster." Dad said, "You shouldn't be angry about that, Johnny. It was an instinctive thing to do. The kid was probably scared silly. Buster was out for blood, God knows why, and Bella grabbed the knife and took a swipe in self-defense. He's probably sorry he did it." "I don't care," Johnny said sullenly. "He tried to kill him." Dad sighed. "It's just lucky that Buster saw the knife and lit out, and that Bella missed with the knife. Bella didn't get bitten, and Buster's all right." "It wasn't the knife," Johnny said. "Buster ain't scared of my knife. He was scared of Bella. He ran before he even saw the knife." "Well," Dad said, "maybe anyway. Everything's all right now. Nothing really bad happened." He paused. "You know, I feel a little sorry for the kid. Animals hating him like that. No wonder he acts a little strange. A kid ought to be able to have a pet. Maybe he feels a little inferior to kids who can." But Johnny was still mad. After Dad finished talking to him, he was less mad than before, but he still resented anyone taking a knife to his dog, no matter what the provocation, and his knife to boot. "I wonder why he dropped the knife and ran," Mom mused. "He yelled that it was silver and acted like it burned his hand." "Oh," Dad said, "he probably said silver. Maybe he got a sliver from the knife handle." Johnny started to object, but let it go. His knife handle was off smooth, worn hardwood and silver strips. He knew darned well there weren't any slivers on it. But still, he let it go. He'd settle the whole thing in his own way. When Dad suggested that he go over the next day and apologize to Bella Kovacs for Buster's behavior and show the new boy that nobody held his actions against him, Johnny said all right. Because, though he knew Dad was absolutely right and it hadn't been Bella's fault, he still wanted to get back at Bella for trying to kill Buster, and he had a good idea of how to do it. He'd scare the the living daylights out of the kid and maybe find out what the mysterious reason was why Bella had to be home every night by that time at certain times of the month. The grown-ups finally started their bridge game, and Johnny went outside and sat on the porch with Buster and looked at the big yellow full moon that rode the sky like a spotlight. Buster had spent the last 2 hours prowling around the lawn, smelling every place where Bella Kovacs had walked, growling deep in his throat and every so often letting out a scared-sounding howl. Now Johnny scratched Buster's ears and thought about tomorrow. It was a good idea. He'd scare Bella spitless, then tell him why he'd gone and done it and make friends with him again, because Bella really wasn't a bad guy. He was just a little strange. The next day, Johnny took his flashlight and went over to Old Berman Place around 3 o'clock. He went cross-country instead of down the road, and as he came out of the wheat-grown cornfield that Old Berman had once tended so lovingly, he saw Bella Kovacs playing in the yard by the windmill. When Bella saw him, he stood stock still, dark eyes wide, again with that animal look to him, as if he were ready to run. Johnny said, "I came over to say I'm sorry Buster tried to bite you." "Oh," Bella blinked. He had his hands cupped in front of him, about belt level. Johnny waited for Bella to say something else, but he didn't. Johnny looked curiously at Bella's cupped hands. "What you got?" he asked. Bella's mouth twisted. He lifted the top hand, and Johnny saw that he held a mouse. It was curled into a ball, and its mouth hung wide open, but Johnny noticed it wasn't trying to bite its way loose. Tiny black eyes glittered up in terror. "I caught it," Bella said, "in the barn." "What do you want to catch a mouse for?" Johnny said disgustedly. "Why not get a cat?" Bella blinked again, and Johnny suddenly wondered if Bella hadn't been just about to cry or something before Johnny showed up, and if he wasn't holding it back now. "I wanted to make friends with you," Bella said softly, "but it is no different in America. All the animals hate me, fear me. Heck, any mouse would be scared, caught and held that way. Not this frightened." Bella knelt and gently placed the mouse on the ground. For a second it stayed there, a huddled gray ball. Then legs erupted and it bounded off so fast that halfway to the barn it tripped and rolled over twice, and when it reached a gap between 2 boards in the side of the barn, it bounced off hard because it had bad aim. Then it vanished, hind legs scabbling. "See?" said Bella, "it runs in terror. So would a cat. I've never had a pet." He straightened and gave Johnny his shy, lonely smile. "I am sorry about yesterday too, Johnny. I am sorry I tried to hurt your dog. I did not mean—" "Oh," Johnny said uncomfortably, remembering how Dad asked and had felt sorry for Bella last night, and remembered what he planned to do today in the caves. "Oh, forget it." Bella took Johnny into the farmhouse to meet his parents. Mr. Kovacs was a big, handsome, middle-aged man who moved the same smooth way Bella did, and Mrs. Kovacs moved that way too. Johnny noticed it the instant he came through the front door into the living room, for Bella's parents had just been finishing their lunch, and when they saw Johnny come in, they rose from the table with old-world courtesy and with that strange animal grace. "Father and Mother," said Bella, "this is Johnny Stevens, the boy I met yesterday." Mr. Kovacs took Johnny's hand and shook it firmly and gently, and Johnny could tell from the size of Mr. Kovacs' hand and the hard feel of its palm against his own that Mr. Kovacs was very, very strong. And a funny thing, when Johnny took his hand away, the ends of his fingers rubbed against something sort of bristly in Mr. Kovacs' hard palm. It felt almost like Dad's cheek just after he shaved, like short whisker stubble. But that was silly. Nobody had hair on their palms, or do they? It felt just like his dad's cheek, and don't know, it could have probably just been dry skin peeling away from work calluses. Mrs. Kovacs, a slim, pretty woman, nodded pleasantly and said, with an accent much more pronounced than Bella's, "How do you do, Mr. Stevens?" Johnny smiled a little. It was the first time anyone had ever called him Mr. Stevens. "I'm pleased to meet you," he said. "Bella has told what happened yesterday." Mrs. Kovacs said, "Please, may we add our apologies to his? It is unfortunate, but animals just do not like us. It is a peculiarity of our family." "Heck," Johnny said. "I came over to apologize and to play with Bella." Mrs. Kovacs smiled and said almost exactly what Johnny's mother had said the day before. How nice for Bella to have such a nice boy his own age to play with. It was Johnny's turn to smile shyly. He looked away and for the first time got a look at the inside of the Kovacs' home. The last time he'd been in this house, about 3 weeks ago, there had been bare walls and refuse-cluttered floors. Now there was furniture, mostly ordinary stuff, but there were some things. The round table in the middle of the room, for instance, and that big bookcase desk against the wall that were pretty foreign-looking, and the pictures, most of them, were in fancier, heavier frames than any he'd ever seen, and a lot of them were of funny foreign buildings, and the tablecloth, and the candlesticks, and lamps, and the rug. Oh, lots of the smaller things around the room had a foreign look, a sort of solid, warm, old look. Mr. Kovacs, noting Johnny's interest, said in a deep bass voice, "We bought many of our things from Hungary." "It looks nice," Johnny said. "Thank you," said Mr. Kovacs gravely. Mrs. Kovacs commenced to clear the table, and Johnny glanced casually at the plates. And when he saw what the lunch had consisted of, his jaw sagged, and he looked again. Raw meat? A roast of beef, it looked like, except it wasn't roasted, and nothing else. A big platter of red, blood-juicy beef in the middle of the table. 3 red-stained plates at the chair places, glasses, and a pitcher of water. Again, Mr. Kovacs noted Johnny's interest, or his amazement. "Raw meat," he said a little heavily, "is good for the blood. We eat raw beefsteak once or twice a week, young man." "Oh," said Johnny, trying not to stare so hard. "I guess I read about that someplace myself about raw meat being good for you, but I don't think—" His voice trailed off. "You do not think you would like it," Mrs. Kovacs smiled, picking up the plates, "but you are too polite to say so." Johnny nodded uncomfortably. "Now," said Mr. Kovacs, "come here, young man." Johnny moved to stand before the man's chair. He didn't know exactly why, except that he thought somehow that Mr. Kovacs was a friendly man. Mr. Kovacs looked appreciatively, almost critically, at Johnny's well-muscled arms and firm neck and clear eyes. "You are in good health," he said. I guess so." "You will make a good playmate for our Bella," Mr. Kovacs said. "He is very active. Do you know the country here?" "I've lived here all my life." "Good. You know to tell Bella of any dangers that exist, yes?" "Sure." "Good. Now, Bella, why don't you show your new friend around the house?" Mrs. Kovacs began to remove the platter of raw beef. Mr. Kovacs reached out and took one of the remaining chunks and bit into it with teeth that, when he opened his mouth wide, were startlingly long and white, and, from the way the meat were, sharp. He chewed and looked at Johnny again, a little reflectively. Johnny and Bella were over by the bookcase by the stairs. Bella was showing Johnny what Hungarian writing looked like. Mrs. Kovacs looked too, and her large eyes, now they were almost luminous, traveled up and down Johnny's body, along the muscular arms and legs, dwelt on the tanned throat. She licked her lips. "In the old country," she murmured in Hungarian. "Eva," said Mr. Kovacs softly but warningly, also in Hungarian. "Ah, imodac, Florence. I'm only thinking, but look at him." Mr. Kovacs smiled at the expression on her face. "Now, Eva, we have left all that behind. It is best not even to think." "Sajos!" Mrs. Kovacs picked up a small piece of beef and bit into it with teeth as long and as sharp as her husband's. She sighed again. "A new country, a new life. I know, my dear." "You are happy, Eva?" "Unhappy?" Eva Kovacs smiled down at him, and since her lower lip concealed the points of her teeth, it was quite a pleasant smile. "Only my belly suffers. I am happy that we are safe, Florence." He took her hand and pressed it against his shoulder. "The old country, the old life. It is impossible to live that way any longer. Eva, we are known. Not you, perhaps, nor I, nor little Bella, but we, all of us, known by signs familiar to the smallest child. While here they do not know us, or even believe in us. And we must let it remain so. We must forsake the old ways. You are not disappointed in America, then?" He shook his massive head. "America is best in every way. There's no tradition to expose us. The political situation is good, and living conditions and opportunity. No, Mama. I am well content here, except—" He put his big hands, palms up on the table before him, and flexed them, and then slowly made fists around the clean-shaven stubble on the palms. "Except at this time of the month, when the moon turns her full face to us." "Yes," said Eva Kovacs softly. "Yes. But beef does not taste so bad, my dear. Not so bad, at least, as a silver bullet." Mrs. Kovacs popped the last of the beef into her mouth, chewed powerfully, and swallowed. She seemed to be tasting it in her throat, feeling it, almost analyzing it, as it went toward her stomach. "No," she said slowly. "Once you are used to it, it is not bad, but—" "Do not think about it, Eva." "We cannot even chase the cow," she said softly. "We must go and buy—" "I know." Mrs. Kovacs looked across the room again at Johnny Stevens, and her large eyes grew larger. "Eva," Mr. Kovacs said, a little sharply, "you would not think of—" "No, no," she said, and licked blood from her fingers, which seemed to have grown just a little hairier, and the nails a little longer. "Of course not, Imodo, Florence. It is just when I remember, we must forget. And they are so healthy here. We must never change again, Eva, never. And Bella?" Florence Kovacs sighed. "He is too young yet, too young to know. We must be sure that he is always with us when the change is. Soon he will be old enough to control the change, as we do. Then we must worry no longer in our new home." Bella had been showing Johnny his room, which held an old poster board, a very old maple bureau, and a carved chest full of fascinating toys, such as Johnny had never seen before. Now the boys came back to the living room, and Bella said, "Mother, we are going out to play." "All right, Bella, but remember, come home before 7 o'clock. "Yes, Mama." "You know what time of the month this is, don't you?" "Yes, Mama." Bella looked uncomfortably at Johnny. "I will be back." "You must," said Mrs. Kovacs. "Just as you did in New York. You know why, Bella." He turned to Johnny. "You will not keep our Bella out late, will you? You see, he is not well. That is why it is very important that he return home before nightfall." "Oh," said Johnny. "I'll be careful. I won't," and he looked away in confusion, thinking of what he planned to do in the cave. Mr. Kovacs' big eyes were still on his face when he looked up, and Johnny felt they were looking right through his own eyes, to the inside of his skull. "I think," said Mr. Kovacs, "that you had better leave." Well, on that note, boys and girls, let's take a little pause for the cause here. We got our girl, Miss Mia Savage, for this music break, and she is going to be singing Let Me Be Your Home, Our New Reality, Lemurian Crypto, and Your Skeleton. I think I'm going to switch those two because I like Lemurian Crypto before we come back. But you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
You're mine tonight. You're mine. You're mine. You're mine.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Story time with me, TessaTNT. Welcome, Travis. Oh, I hope you get some glasses soon. I know it's hard not to be able to see. Dang it. And we were just talking about that the other night on the Paradox Paranormal Forum. My dad used to fall out of bed a lot. And he'd, bust his head on the side table, and he had that cool, white tape around the middle of his black frame glasses. He could still see. Unfortunately, yours are worse off. Apologies again for last night's show. We're going to have Mr. Alan Wright on again this next coming Sunday. So you guys look forward to that. We also have Mr. Dean McMurray. I'm super excited to have this guy on. Because he's a military medium, and I'm just so excited to figure out what he's seen during his time with the military. Synchronicities, Travis. It's a funny thing. I hope you guys had an awesome Halloween. I did. It took me about, I want to say 2 hours to do my makeup. And I spent about the same time trick-or-treating, and then, it was time to take it off. It was crazy that, I almost said Cleopatra, that Elvira makeup went all the way up from my eyes, all the way up here, and I looked like the clown from Spawn. I swear to God. Oh no! They super glued it 6 times over. There's gotta be a better glue. Maybe Gorilla Glue? I don't know. Alright, let's continue on with the young one. This is an Alfred Hitchcock's Monster Museum. Bella's parents came to the door and stood in the sunshine, and as Johnny and Bella turned to wave at them from the edge of the cornfield, Johnny noticed for the first time that their eyebrows were just like Bella's. Straight, thick bars. They got a unibrow going on. Straight, thick bars of hair that ran right across their foreheads. Yes, okay, so, Travis, since you mentioned it, I love this Halloween because I got to dress up Saturday as a sugar skull, Sunday as a witch, Monday as Jason Voorhees from Camp Crystal Lake, and then Tuesday I was Elvira. If you haven't seen the pictures, you gotta check them out. I had them on my story as well as my page. Is the background noise, as far as the music, is that too loud? I think it is just a little too loud. I'm gonna turn it down just a smidge. There's a little smidge here. I want background music, but not too much. Not too much. Not too much. Yes, Elvira. Next year I want to get a smaller dress because this one, I generally wear an extra large because of my upper body. But yeah, there was way too much room. Elvira's dress is supposed to be tight, so I'm going to sell my XL Elvira dress and get a smaller one. Hello, Robert. You're twitching it. You're doing it, Robert. You're doing it. The entrance to the caves was just a black chink in the rocks on the hillside. They climbed up toward it, leaping from one big boulder to the next under the afternoon sun. They reached the black hole and felt the coolness of it on their faces, even in the sunshine. Bella hung back, and Johnny started to go right in. "Johnny," he said. "Yeah? Don't forget, I have to be back before 7. Johnny put his hands to the hips. "Well, for gosh sakes, yes. Heard it enough. What's so awful that'll happen to you if you don't? Do you have to take medicine or something?" Bella shook his head. "Can't tell you, but you won't get lost or anything, will you?" No, said Johnny, emphatically, crossing his fingers behind his back. You heard what my parents said. I have to be home before the moon rises. The moon? What's the moon got to do with it? Bella just looked nervously at the black hole in the hillside, and Johnny didn't ask about it again. He just sniffled. The moon, for gosh sakes, as if he were dismissing it as something else. Crazy that foreigners, especially Hungarians, worried about, because he knew he had better find a way, or a way of finding out. Johnny, perhaps I had better not go in, not now. Johnny put a jeer in his voice. Scared? Not for the reasons you think, Bella said, dark eyes flashing. You do not understand. Well, come on then. I promise. He crossed his fingers again. We won't get lost. Johnny started again into the black chink. Bella hesitated for a second, then followed. Are you serious? Travis. The first Jason was a female? Well, that explains a lot. No. I'm going to try for that contest again next year. You guys better vote for me every single day so I get through. And I'm going to have to go down to the paper like I did this last time. And I gave them a flyer to give to the lady with explanation as far as how the contests work and how if people locally would pay for votes to go towards the funding that we were doing for kids with pediatric cancer. That would have been a cool thing, but last year she's like, oh, that sounds like a good story. Never did anything with it. And this year she didn't respond whatsoever. So that's amazing. I didn't know the first Jason Voorhees was a woman. Oh, it was Jason's mom, was it? Jason's mom was taking revenge? Because the camp killed her son. Oh, Camp Crystal Lake. Actually, Johnny thought, as they made their way through the narrow fissures into the increasing darkness, the crossed fingers weren't necessary because he wasn't planning to really get lost, only to pretend to get lost. And he wasn't sure he was going to do even that now. Not if Bella was sick. That was different. Maybe it explained a lot, even old Buster's behavior. Dogs sometimes got funny around sick people. Okay, so going back to what Travis is saying. So, the woman, which I'm sure was Jason's mom, seeking revenge? I don't know. Was into witchcraft and used the souls to bring back her son. That is a wild story because it's like he always goes back to the lake and kind of just stays there, but he always comes back up from the lake as if he were never dead in the first place. But I wasn't sure that that was the explanation. It sounded a little fishy to him. Why all the mystery if Bella was just sick? Or was it some awful to gosh disease? If so, why was Bella let out to play and maybe give the disease to someone else? And Mr. Kovacs had said that Bella was very active. That didn't sound like he was sick. And Bella sure didn't look sick. Johnny decided he'd wait and decide what to do later. The floor of the chink dipped down and turned at a right angle, and they were inside the caves. Johnny turned on his flashlight and heard Bella gasp. All around them were curtains and drapiers and carpets and fountains of stone, gray, pink, blue, green, lavender, stretching from where they stood to a sharp 60-foot downslope ahead of them, which led to the cave floor below and off into inky shadows that looked almost like solids. Johnny played the beam of light around, giving Bella a good look at everything worth seeing here near the entrance. Then he said, "Let's start down." They made their way across ripples of pastel-shaded stone to where the downslope began. The sounds they made started to echo, echo, echo. and the air was very dry and cool. The beam of the flashlight was hard and bright, and the blackness pressed in on it, as if trying to squash it down to pencil thinness, but the beam moved like lightning, cutting like a knife, and whenever it opened the blackness, it revealed wonders with color and shape. "The waves in the slope make steps," Johnny said, pointing to the light downward. "See? We can go down that way. How do you like it?" Oh, hey, I was just saying, Adrian. Hello. Yeah, that costume. Okay, not the costume, but the makeup. Like I said, it was on here, but it went all the way up here. I looked like the clown from Spawn, but luckily the Elvira wig, covered up the forehead makeup. It was insane. But yeah, ain't no way I'm putting on that costume tonight because it's gonna take a bit, but maybe we'll get a vote going and I'll do story time and costume maybe next weekend. I think I could pull that off. Well, Jen, you only fell asleep because of my relaxing tone of voice. Reading the story made you sleepy and you just couldn't help yourself but to fall asleep. "It is beautiful," Bella whispered. They started down, Johnny keeping the light always on their footing and guiding their progress down the face of the rock by familiar rippling formations and splashes of colors. At last they reached the bottom and Johnny said, "This way." As they started across the uneven floor of the cave, Bella asked, "Do you know the time, Johnny?" "About 4. You've got lots of time." And soon the caves became so beautiful that Bella forgot entirely to worry about time. They passed fountains and sprays and mists and museums of stone, gleaming with colors purer and more delicate than any ever seen on Earth's surface. They passed marching stalagmites of green and blue and bright orange, here and there united with drooping stalactites to form arching passageways and gardens of pillars. They moved slowly beneath the walls of rippled stone, as if blue or pink or purple lava had been flowing and frozen in mid-flow. I might do that. We might make that a regular thing. Holy shit. Could you imagine me showing up to work on Mondays with my Elvira makeup on? Because I kind of stay up too late sometimes. But not generally. But sometimes. I have issues sleeping, so... Okay, let's see. Where were we? They passed lakes of blue-black water, so still and smooth that one had almost to touch them to be convinced that they weren't glass. They moved up vast slopes of colored stone like insects up a giant Christmas tree ornament, and when they reached the top, Johnny would select his dark passage or that and lead them on into royal chambers of purple and white, and then up to a curving crimson staircase to a balcony of coral pink and green, where more passages offered further mysteries to be explored. It sounds beautiful. I want to go. Let's go spelunking, shall we? That's how I am, Adrian. I can't help it. It's just like... And my husband hates it, but... I keep wanting to say I have sleep apnea. That's him. I have insomnia. Generally, my bedtime is 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's 6 or 7. It just really all depends. But yeah, mostly 3 or 4. Last night, I had an edible that my friend gave me, and it really, really helped. So I think I might get some of those. I don't like the way edibles affect me as far as like taking them and trying to stay awake, but taking them and going to sleep, I think they really work for me. "The waves in the slope make steps," Johnny said, pointing the light downward. "See? We can go down that way. How do you like it?" "It's beautiful," Ella whispered. They started down, Johnny keeping the light always on their footing and guiding their progress down the face of rock by familiar rippling formations and splashing of colors. At last they reached the bottom and Johnny said, "This way." As they started across the uneven floor of the cave, Bella asked, "Do you know the time, Johnny?" Okay, so we already read this. What the heck? Sprays, different colors, Earth service, Yep. They moved up vast slopes of colored stone like insects. Read that one. They moved along the edges of the crevices so deep that a penny dropped made no sound, not even the whisper of an echo. Once Johnny turned off his light and told Bella to stand still, and they listened to the silence which cannot be qualified, the silence which is absolute, the silence that exists only underground. They heard their own hearts beating. At last Johnny was sure the time must be about 6 o'clock. We'd better get started back, he told Bella, if you're going to get home by 7 this way. And he led the way back to the place where they had entered the caves, and there he pretended to get lost. Yes, telling my story of insomnia is very relaxing. Except for you can't silence the mind. It was easy. Bella was new to the caves. He probably wouldn't recognize the entrance even if Johnny flashed his light up the long slope right to the chink, or they'd come in. Johnny wasn't sure yet whether he wanted to keep up the pretense for more than a few minutes. Maybe he'd just throw a short scare into Bella, and then take him on out of the caves so he could go home by 7. After all, if Bella was sick. Is Bella sick? Is there something else going on? Where the heck did I leave off? But he wasn't sure about that. It still sounded fishy, and he was more curious than ever to know what the mystery was all about, even if it was some kind of disease. He said worriedly, Bella, I'm not sure which way we go from here. I think maybe I'm lost. And he looked to see what effect it would have on the Hungarian boy. Bella's eyes grew huge. Oh no! Johnny! You do not mean it. You promised. I got that accent wrong. John pretended to be confused, even afraid. I'm sorry, he stammered. I just lost the way. I was so interested showing you around. Gosh, Bella. But Johnny, I have to get out. I have to get home before... Come on, Johnny said, making his voice worried. Maybe it's this way. And he led Bella in a huge circle through the pillars and passages and hanging stone curtains that surrounded the entrance. It took about a half an hour, and then they were right back where they'd started from, within 100 feet of the entrance. Johnny said, I just don't know where we are. Well, what time do you think it is? Bella asked, his voice terrified. 6:30 about? Bella shuddered and looked at Johnny, his eyes shining enormously in light. Johnny, I have to get out. Johnny put panic in his voice. Well, what can I do? I'm sorry. I'm scared too. Maybe we'll never get out. Try, Bella begged. Try, Johnny. Can't sure remember the way. Looking at Bella in the light, at the big dark eyes and smooth brown skin and white straight teeth and lithe body, Johnny decided abruptly that the story about Bella's being sick must be phony. It was something else. There was some other reason why Bella was so frantic about being home by 7, and why his parents were so emphatic on the same point. Some real strange, funny reason, and Johnny wanted to know what. He decided to do as he'd originally planned, keep Bella down here and watch to see what happened. He turned around as if in indecision. I think maybe it's off this way. Come on. And he led Bella in a circle the other way around by a slightly different route, and they ended up by the entrance again. Johnny knew it must be nearly 7 by now. He kept a sharp eye on Bella while pretending to search for the entrance chink that was really right up the slope over their heads. Bella know, somehow, when 7 o'clock had arrived? And was it something that would happen to him right at 7 that he was afraid of? But how could he know the time? And what could happen down here in the caves? Or was it something his parents would do to him later as punishment for not getting home by that time? "Johnny," Bella said suddenly, close by Johnny in a blackness, a quaver in his voice. Johnny stopped his pretense of searching and put the beam of light on Bella. "Yeah?" Bella was trembling all over, and he was looking up at the roof of the cave. As Johnny watched, he hunched his shoulders a little, sort of cringed, and his face got even tighter, as if he saw something horrible coming at him, right down through the blackness, the solid rock. "It is almost 7, Johnny. Do something." "It is going to happen." "What's going to happen? What can I do?" "I do not know," Bella cried. Echoes came back. "I do not know, do not know." "You don't know what I can do?" "I do not know, do not know, do not know, no." "You don't know what's going to happen?" "I do not know, I'm frightened. It never happened to me away from home before. Johnny, you promised." "Oh, Mama, Mama, Mama." And Bella began to cry. He sank to a heap on the colored stone floor, and tears rolled down his cheeks and splashed on the stone and made the colors deeper. And he wailed things in Hungarian until he could hardly talk any more, but just cried. "You don't know what's going to happen?" Johnny asked, amazed. Bella choked trying to talk and coughed hard, and echoes came back like footsteps across the frantic voice. "Yes, I know, but I do not know what it is or why this happens. Mama, Mama." Suddenly his back stiffened and his hands clawed out in front of him. His streaming eyes rolled up to Johnny's face. He whined like an animal. "Johnny, it is 7. The moon is rising. I can feel it." "Feel the moon down here? How can?" "It does not matter where. I can feel it. I can feel, Mama. Ah, ah, ah." And Bella's face twisted into an expression of such terror and agony that Johnny was suddenly chilled, and he decided that his joke had gone far enough. In fact, all of a sudden, he was pretty darn scared. He hadn't expected anything like this. Probably if Bella really was sick. He bent over in a huddled figure on the cave floor and pointed his flashlight upward. "Bella, look," he said loudly. "Look up there. There's where we came in. Come on, let's go." "Oh, here's the picture." Bella didn't answer. "Bella, come on." Bella moved, and his fingernails scratched the rock so hard it sounded like they'd tear off. Johnny began to tremble. He looked down, the flashlight still pointing up. Bella's eyes gleamed up at him from the floor, enormous, yellowish in the reflecting light, glassy, fixed, somehow baleful. As Johnny watched, they seemed to move closer together, and they got yellower. Johnny was so startled he dropped the flashlight. It thumped on the stone at his feet, and the glass broke and the light went out. In the blackness, the utter thick blackness, Johnny heard a scuffling sound near his feet and a low, soft animal snarl. He yelled and leaped back. His foot struck the flashlight, and even as he went down, he got one hand on it, and with the other hand, he dragged his big hunting knife out of his belt. He hit hard on his side. He pressed the flashlight button and sprayed. He sprayed the light and prayed that it would work, and it did. Bella was gone, wide-eyed. Johnny rolled over. Kneeling there, he darted light this way and that. Finally, he found his voice. "But, Bella?" He quavered. Nothing happened. He got to his feet and stood shaking. "Bella?" There was a claws on stone sound from the blackness behind him. He rolled his neck stiff and cold and lashed the beam of light across the shadows. He held his hunting knife hard, the point straight out, ready to stab or slice from almost any angle. At first he saw nothing. Rocks, curtains, and pillars of colored stone, black shadows that seemed to lean forward toward him. Then a low shadow moved at the corner of his vision. He swung the light that way. 2 yellow eyes, low against the stone floor, blazed back at him. Bella? Johnny whispered and lifted the light so that it shone directly on the possessor of the eyes. The creature slitted the eyes and snarled to reveal sharp white fangs and charged. Mr. and Mrs. Kovacs were looking both furious and terrified at the same time. They stood by the big table in the living room, where they'd been sitting playing some kind of game with big colored cards when Johnny came bursting in to tell them what had happened in the caves. "I'm sorry," Johnny said, for the dozenth time, and wiped a hand across his tear-stained cheeks. "I didn't mean to do it. It was just a joke. Please call Sheriff Morris and ask him to get a posse out. They'll find Bella. Honestly, they will." Mr. Kovacs' large eyes were brilliant with anger, and his deep voice was almost a snarl. "I will go look for Bella, young man, and you had better go home. I do not think we want to see you any more." Johnny turned miserably toward the door. There was a growl from the darkness right outside. Mrs. Kovacs gasped. "Bella?" The creature came panting through the open door and made a beeline for Johnny's leg. Johnny said, "It isn't Bella. It's that darned wolf cub." He dodged and dropped to one knee and cuffed the cub playfully on the side of the cage. It snarled like a lapdog and backed off and put its belly against the floor. His tiny ears were flat against his head, just as old Buster's had been when he'd first seen Bella, and his yellow eyes gleamed hungrily on Johnny's throat. It charged again, stubby legs pumping. Johnny caught it neatly by the scruff of the neck and shook it gently. It snapped and snarled and it waved its legs. "I'll be darned," he said, forgetting for the moment that Mrs. Kovacs had particularly ordered him out of the house. "The little feller must have followed me." "You saw the little wolf tonight," Mrs. Kovacs said sharply, eyes widened and glowing a little brighter. "Sir, in the cave, just after Bella ran off. It tried to bite me then, too, and now it followed me all the way to your place." Johnny grinned feebly, looking from Mr. Kovacs' rather grim face to Mrs. Kovacs' somehow relieved one. "I guess it wants to eat me or something." "I suppose," said Mr. Kovacs heavily, "it does. I'll take it outside and turn it loose again." "Again?" The cub swung from Johnny's grasp, rolling its yellow eyes hungrily at the nearest finger. Johnny nodded. "I carried it up out of the caves after I gave up hollering for Bella. Figured it wasn't right to let it die down there. Maybe when it gets older, I'll shoot it if I see it. But now, I figured to give it a chance. It's so young." "Oh. Give him to me, young man," said Mrs. Kovacs. "He's so cute." And she took the wolf cub from Johnny's arms before Johnny could protest it was dangerous, and cuddled it in her own. It whined and looked up at her with its big yellow eyes, and didn't struggle at all to free itself. Johnny was too unhappy to wonder at that, though, or even notice it. "Now go home, young man," said Mr. Kovacs. Johnny turned to the door again. "Will you turn it loose afterwards, Mr. Kovacs? You won't kill it, will you?" "I will not kill it." "Then you better call the sheriff to help you look for Bella. I'll, too, if you want. I know the cave's like—" "Bella will be all right," Mr. Kovacs said. "When you find him, will you please tell him I'm sorry for what I did?" "Yes." Johnny had reached the front door when Mr. Kovacs said something soft in Hungarian, and Mr. Kovacs grunted and said, "Young man." Johnny turned. "Yes, sir?" The The wolf cub was on the table, and Mr. Kovacs was thoughtfully scratching the scruff of its neck. "Young man," Mr. Kovacs said slowly, "I do not want to be harsh. I have thought it over. What you did was not very nice, but I think it is understandable. I think it may be forgiven, and you came to us immediately and told us about it, and now you have offered to help undo what you have done." "Yes, sir. You may come here as often as you wish and play with our Bella." Johnny brightened. "Yes, sir, thank you." "Provided you never do anything like that again." "Yes, sir, I mean, no, sir." "Now," said Mr. Kovacs a little intently, "I would like to make absolutely certain of what happened in the cave. It happened like this, yes? Our Bella became sick. You dropped your flashlight, and when you turned the light on again, Bella was gone." "That's right, sir." "You did not see where Bella went?" "No, sir." "And then you saw the little wolf?" "Uh-huh." Johnny grinned. "It was dope to wander in there. Luckily, I came along." Said Mr. Kovacs. "Yes." His eyes, which had become a little larger as he questioned Johnny, lost some of their wary glow, and his fingers, which had become just a tiny bit hairier, relaxed. "Now, you had better go. I will find Bella. Good night, young man." "Good night, Mr. Kovacs. Good night, Mrs. Kovacs." As Johnny turned to leave again, Mr. Kovacs said, "Another thing, young man. He will be called Jacob." Johnny paused. "I was not entirely truthful with you. Our Bella is not really sick. It is just that at certain times of the month he is expected to be home before nightfall because, well, I believe you might call it a custom. A Hungarian custom. An old family custom. It must be observed. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." "We will not tell Bella what you did, if you will promise never to tell anyone what happened tonight." "Yes, sir." "We would not want to be thought queer by our neighbors. After all, young man, customs differ. We are all of us different." "Yes, sir, my father taught me that." "Did he teach you to keep promises?" "He licks me when I don't." "Do you promise then?" "Yes." "You will make a good playmate for our Bella. As I said, good night, young man." Smiling, Johnny Stevens laughed. When he reached the edge of the cornfield, he began to whistle at the full moon overhead. He wondered if the moon always rose at 7 in Hungary. Now, maybe it was just a time set so Bella would always be home before it happened and observe whatever the custom was, but heck, lots of times the moon rose earlier than at 7, even the full moon, like tonight. It always rose when the sun set. 4 o'clock, sometimes in winter? Maybe, Johnny nodded, remembering something from school, maybe the Kovacs figured the time for Bella to be home by the seasons, by the months, even by the latitudes? What a funny custom. Maybe someday Bella would tell him about it. Mr. Kovacs looked thoughtfully at his son. "We could have lost all," he told his wife. "But for a boy dropping a flashlight, our new country is good to us. Now, the time has come when we must tell Bella what he is." Well, on that note, boys and girls, we have gone to a new chapter. This is Doomsday Deferred. We're going to get to this next week when we do our story time. Sorry, I was just trying to find my little bookmarker. Anywho's, so we're going to go back on music break. On this break, we have Miss Mia Savage with her group Antidote for Savages. And she is going to be singing Bury Me in Heaven, which is one of my most favorite songs from her. I think it is my favorite so far. The Bottom Line, Not a Phase, as well as Singing to Your Grave. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break. And just so you know, she hails from Phoenix, Arizona, but she also lives up here in the Four Corners area of Colorado. See you soon. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. So, during this hour, we are going to share a video. So, I have a couple pulled up. One is from Midwest Paranormal. This guy, I don't know what the heck is going on with him. Everywhere he goes, he gets the most amazing evidence. To me, it's insane. Like, seriously, I could go on 4 or 5 ghost hunts and get this much, but he gets it in one night. And I don't know if it's because, I don't know, he just seems like really innocent. Let me see. No, it's this one. Okay. So this is Exploring Haunted Native American Burial Grounds. This is by Midwest Ghost Hunters. Please go subscribe to this guy. Like, Flesh Nuggies. Ah, there's a hair sticking in my neck. Get enough. Anyways, this guy, I have to tell you, it's tons, tons and tons and tons of evidence. To me, it is a freaking amazing. You guys ready? Want to talk about it? Like, here we go.
There is even said to be a wolf spirit guarding these sacred mounds that can often be heard howling in the night. I would conduct an overnight investigation in the hopes of documenting proof of these supernatural claims.
Greetings, friends, and welcome to another ghost hunting video. And this time, I'm at a very interesting location. It's way out in the woods. It's very secluded. Not many houses near here. Something happens to me out here, I don't think anyone's going to hear my screams, which is kind of scary. It'll be interesting trying to communicate with some of the spirits here. Seems like primarily there's Native American spirits out here. So obviously there's going to be a language barrier, and I'm going to be trying to work my way around that. I might do more listening instead of talking a lot. I probably still will ask questions just in case. But for the most part, I might just listen, just try to see if I can hear anything unusual. But if you end up enjoying this video, consider liking the video, commenting your thoughts on anything that happens tonight. And if you're new here and you haven't already, consider subscribing, because I investigate haunted places like this all the time. And sometimes you get to watch me freak out and get scared and run like a little girl. But it does make for entertaining videos, as embarrassing as it is. But for now, enough talking. It is now time to get into the investigation. You know, there wasn't really supposed to be a storm, but if you look, I got some ominous clouds coming in, and the wind is starting to pick up, and I'm starting to feel raindrops. Oh man, I hope it doesn't rain too hard. It wasn't supposed to, but I'll have to recheck the forecast. Hopefully it's just brief. Just brief enough to energize this place, and I can come out here at night, and crazy activity will happen. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a bad omen, like I shouldn't be here.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Alright, the storm has passed. It should be a clear night from here on out. I can definitely feel the electricity in the air right now. And here we are. Right when you walk in, there's the first mound. Hello, is anybody here? My name is Ian, and I'm just a visitor looking to communicate with anyone that's here. That is, if you're interested. I hear that there's spirits out here. If you're a spirit here, I'd love to see you. It would be an amazing experience. This is a K2 meter. This measures electromagnetic fields, and spirits are said to be energy, and so this thing picks up on that. I'm gonna place this down right about here on this mound. Look at that. It's already going off. Holy shit. What the?
That's pretty
Are
intriguing.
you touching that green light?
Are you touching this
Are you
device?
buried in this mound? I take that as a yes. How many spirits are here? Is it over 5? Is it less than 5? This thing is just going nuts. It's hard to tell if this thing's actually like responding or if it's just going off at random. Do you speak English?
Do you speak
I
English?
wish I knew some phrases off the top of my head. I
This
wouldn't
guy
even
is so
know what
innocent.
tribe.
I think that's why he gets so much
That's the
evidence.
There's no information.
I think he
about
might
these
have some
mounds
sort
at
of
all,
Asperger's or
about who
something.
they are,
but
or what tribe, or how far they
they
date
love
back.
and trust him. To me, it's amazing. I love the way he uses that thing where it's like the hands.
Man, walking through these woods, I feel like anything could just pop out at me right
Walking
now.
through the woods one day,
Like, from
watching all
anywhere.
the children's playing.
Bears, Bigfoot, ghosts, anything.
Whatever you want to think. What?
Okay. I don't know if I'm going crazy. I thought I heard something behind me. Hello? Who's over there? I don't know, maybe I'm just paranoid. I don't know. I thought I heard something, but I'm not sure.
Sometimes I think I'm
holy
paranoid.
Okay.
No.
Alright.
Whether you're on stairs or walking down a path, you can hear somebody.
Maybe I'm not going crazy. I don't know. I don't know if I should try this, but I'm going to try walking backwards because I want to see what's coming up behind me. Honestly, I don't even like walking backwards because I don't know what's up
Yeah,
behind me.
could you imagine tripping over something that doesn't even exist? No, that to me is pretty
Is there
crazy.
somebody out here with me? Oh my god! Holy shit! That scared me so bad. That was a straight up voice from thin air. It was as if
He's so
somebody was standing like
innocent.
right there.
Oh my gosh.
Hello?
How? How?
My name is Ian. Could you tell me your name?
Would you
Are
tell
you
me
standing in
yours?
this exact spot right here? Could you say something? You might not even
Uh-huh.
understand me, that's the thing.
Yata hey.
Man.
Gana
Are you a Dakota? Ojibwe?
I wonder if they'd understand
Getting really chilled over
I'm
here.
not Cherokee, but Navajo. Yata
walk up a
eh.
little
I believe
closer.
is hello. And Gana
Coming
I
towards
think it's
you.
goodbye.
I mean you no harm.
Yata eh. Gana I don't know why those two go together for me, but maybe that's just how I learned it.
Oh my god! Holy shit!
This guy is so brave, I have to say.
Oh my god, something just grabbed my shoulder. Holy moly.
Could you imagine?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to react that way. You just scared me.
He just shot his pants. Luckily, he was wearing brown pants, so you
I
can't
really
tell.
don't know what kind of grab that was. I don't know if that was like a hey kind of grab or hey, like get out of
Hey.
here.
So this guy does this, and
Alright, here's
Franco
mound
from Franco
number
TV
2.
does this too. He goes out by himself. I went out by
I'm actually
myself
not gonna
just
say
up the
anything
road,
this time. I'm actually just
and
gonna
I got
listen.
fucked with a possession. So, for these guys to do this all the time, that to me is intriguing. What? Yete, something like that.
Oh my god, I'm hearing all kinds of things over here. It sounds like voices, but they're so faint.
Okay.
I'll try to take a few pictures.
Look at those orbs.
I'm getting a lot of orbs. Holy moly. Whoa, guys, I'm getting a lot of weird ones. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if I can get any on video. Oh, dude, one just crossed over the screen. Did you see that? Of course you did. I just caught it. That was so cool.
Holy shit. Yes, I did. I did catch it. Did you see it?
This place has got a lot of spiritual energy. Like, I could just feel it walking through here. And it's a good kind of energy. It's like peaceful. At least I hope it's all peaceful. I know there's apparently a wolf spirit out here somewhere.
Ow!
This leads down to the riverbank.
Look at how the mounds go like this.
You know, there's theories out there that running water can be like an energy source for spirits. Because of these theories,
Causes electricity.
areas near rivers
Some
and
activity.
whatnot tend to be pretty active because of just the surplus energy that spirits can get from the environment. Now, whether or not these theories are true, I don't know for sure. Comment what you think down below. Do you believe in those kind of theories? Like stone tape theory and all that stuff? I tend to be pretty open-minded. I think the paranormal is a pretty mysterious
I think he's fucking brave
realm.
because he's out here by himself right
I
now.
keep hearing like animals out here moving about. I think they're getting spooked by me. Anybody down here? Even though there's not much going on right now, it's a lot of fun just being out here. Out in the wilderness. Even though it's dark.
Out in the creek,
Barely see 10 feet ahead of me. Still a lot of fun.
Under the skies of blue.
Okay. Okay, that sounded like a coyote.
And you can even see how he trembles when he's filming. He's
God
like,
forbid a
I'm trying
wolf.
to be very still. But I just can't.
Holy shit. Just when I said it was fun being out here. Pretty sure there was a goose back there splashing in
It's
the
alright,
water.
it's alright.
I'm a little more concerned with the howling. The question is, what would I rather be? A wolf spirit or a real wolf? I don't know what.
You listen closely. Put your headphones on. Listen.
What the f was that?
Hear it.
Dude, that was crazy.
You gotta listen to this.
You know what that sounded like? That sounded
Drums.
like a drum. A drum. It was like a tribal drum, like in a ritual or something.
You guys gotta listen to this. Put your headphones on.
Hello?
Squish it to your heads.
It was coming from the woods. It was coming from this area.
It's intense.
Dude, that is so crazy. I mean, what else could that be? That is undeniable.
It's tribal
Like, that
drums.
legit sounded like a drum being hit. Am I wrong? Like,
I don't think so,
I
bro.
feel like I'm going crazy out here.
I don't know. I think you're on to something.
Hello? Is anyone back here? Oh, God. Oh, man, I'm not liking this. Going back in the woods and crap. Oh, wait a minute. Look at this. Whoa. Oh my. It's another mound. And this is where that was coming from. Dude, that is so crazy.
But he
I
was
would have
drawn
never
to
found
it.
this
No, he
if
was
it
drawn
wasn't for
to
that
it.
sound. I mean, like, what are the odds that that sound would lead me to a mound? A gigantic one. This one is huge. Look how long that goes. It goes all the way to that tree right there. Whew. I'm at a loss for words. Thank you for playing your beautiful music.
Gum,
Whoa.
chickadee, gum, chickadee.
I saw that. Holy.
The crack, dude.
Alright, guys. On my way to the last mound. Let's see if anything else happens.
That's what she said.
There she is.
There she is. Oh, gorgeous.
It's weird. It smells like incense almost over here. Or like sage.
Frankincense,
I don't know. It's
myrrh,
like different. I can't.
sage, sweetgrass.
Oh, it almost burns my lungs. Are you smoking something over here? Hello? Okay. I start talking. That sounds like a male voice.
Yeah. Oh,
Could you speak again?
oh, yuck. Hey,
Oh my god!
you see that
Dude!
face?
That was a face! I just seen a
I
face!
saw it.
That was
Did
a
you see
glowing
it?
face!
You guys gotta look. Check it out. This is so amazing. Like, he catches all
Oh my
kinds of stuff.
god! I cannot believe that! Dude, his face just appeared right there!
Oh no, guys.
Right there!
This is freaking
Oh my
amazing.
god, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen! It's one thing to see a light, a mist, even a shadow, but a face? A face! It
I'm
looked like a
telling
man,
you.
dude. It looked like a Native American man.
Midwest Paranormal. Please go and
Could you
subscribe.
appear like that again?
This guy is onto something. So crazy how
guys,
that
I think
face
we'll
just
call it a
came out
night.
like that.
Wow, what a fantastic location this turned out to be. Unbelievable activity. Wasn't so scary. I didn't feel in danger at any point. I mean, the wolf howling was a little spooky. I'm not sure if it was a wolf or anything. I don't really know. I love places like this. I love Native American culture. I love Native American history and the hauntings. They're just, it's all over, you know, because this was once their land. This was once their
Sorry.
world, and they're still here. They're still here. I have no doubt in my mind. They are definitely still here. But if you enjoyed that video, like it if you did. Comment your thoughts on everything that went down.
And please subscribe. You guys, I have to say right now, please subscribe to Midwest Paranormal. That guy needs it. Holy shit, like, I'm telling you, every time he goes out, every time he investigates, he captures so much stuff. It is so amazing to me. Okay, so here I am about to present one more video for you, and this one is more of the Bigfoot realm. You don't believe in Bigfoot? Maybe perhaps you will. Ready? Here we go. No. Sorry, I had to reset that one.
411 cases. Every year, thousands of people go missing without a single trace while camping or hiking in the woods. And there's an idea that part of these people at some point come face to face with something that should only exist in myths and tales.
Encounters
Oh, is that a
and
murder
so forth,
maid?
which involve law enforcement agencies.
Every sighting I've seen, they don't appear to have any neck. Face, I've seen pale coloured ones, and I've also seen jet black ones, like with a leathery, like a shiny leather look. Not like a primate, not like a gorilla or a monkey, and not like a human.
And today
That
I'm
is
going to show you
impossible.
guys
Please
possible
go to
evidence of
That
the
is
existence
Impossible
of mysterious creatures such as
subscribe
Bigfoot, skinwalkers, Wendigo, and
Ching, ching.
unexplained alien-like cryptids that may exist somewhere out there, and a possible reason to why there's almost no proof of their existence. Imagine yourself working at a logging camp in California and it's a beautiful and sunny day. Then all of a sudden, you stumble across these very large humanoid footprints.
I'm almost out of the trail. Look at my feet placement, okay? I'm like, look, this is shoulder width apart from me, right? Look at this here, man. So I'm gonna put my boot here and look at the other one right here and the right here. And I'm
What
like
about the one right next to it?
almost 2 shoulders width apart where
But I see
something
what you're saying.
just stood right here.
Footprints that you can't exactly explain. Well, this is exactly what happened in the late 1950s. A logger named Jerry Crew made an astonishing discovery
Jerry.
while working in the forests of Bluff Creek in California. Crew stumbled upon gigantic footprints measuring an incredible 16 inches in length. Little did he know that this seemingly innocuous find would become the catalyst for one of the most enduring mysteries of our time.
Oh, there he goes.
Look at him. He's so majestic.
Jesus.
It's like with these UFO videos, it's hard to concentrate because you're just like, mind blown.
Get up here where I can see me quick. Why does that look human? We find out it's a freaking Sasquatch looking at us.
Yeah, he's
Yo,
like,
somebody take screenshots.
he crunched down really small.
It was Jerry Crew's find that led to the popularization of the term Bigfoot. But the thing is,
Look at
it's
the
not
size of
just
that
Jerry
foot.
Crew. Nowadays, with video camera technology and social media, there are countless videos of people who have supposedly encountered this mysterious creature lurking in the woods.
Grab that camera.
I got it.
Bear going across. I don't see her.
Look at him, he's like,
Whoa, there it is. It's a bear.
That's not a bear. What is that?
It's a freaking bear. What?
A bear walking on legs
What?
that's brown
Look
around
at-
here?
And
how
right
fast
now,
that
I'm
one was
going to show
moving.
you guys some of the videos that I believe can actually prove the existence of such a creature. Starting with this
Hi,
video
bear.
that was recorded by Brandon, that recently
Bear,
took a
like,
trip through Colorado and boarded a Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad.
That's where I
A
live.
vintage train
He
that
said narrow
provides
gauge.
historic
It's narrow
rides.
gauge.
He expected to record the beautiful scenery of the place. What he
Dude,
didn't
you guys gotta
expect
see this.
was to capture
This
some
is
sort of
intense.
humanoid
This is the
creature
most
on
recent
camera.
sighting of
And this
Bigfoot
is what he
from
saw.
the narrow gauge railroad. So there's a mom Bigfoot. She sits down. She cuddles up her baby.
Let me see your camera.
She repositions herself. So there's this guy, he's doing the video, and then somebody breaks out their camera. He's like, here.
Now, whatever it
let
is
me
that
do
Brandon
this. And he
captured
takes
on camera
pictures.
that day,
You should see
it
the
does
pictures.
look like a very large
It's a
ape-like
Bigfoot with a
figure.
little baby. It's got a baby on its shoulder. That's what that light part is right there on the side.
After being
Did
posted,
you see
the
that?
video amassed millions of views and thousands of comments,
Oh my
and it became a
goodness.
viral
That's amazing.
sensation. A lot of people were talking about it, and the internet was divided. Some believe that this could actually be a legit video of Bigfoot, finally, while others state that this is fake, that it's just a person in a suit. But here's the thing.
Not.
According to Joshua Stephens'
It's a mother
map,
with her
in the
babe.
past 100 years, thousands of Bigfoot sightings have been reported all over
look at
North
them,
America,
all
and many of
speckled
them
all over the
happen
place.
in Colorado State, meaning that this could be the real deal. Not only that, in the state of New York, there have been reported cases that actually involved law
Look
enforcement.
how, like, how
And
it's done
Paul
in the first
Bartholomew
place.
actually
They wouldn't
talks
have
about
even
it
noticed
in a
it.
YouTube channel called Small Town Monsters.
Whitehall has become important in cryptozoology terms because it had landmark cases. For instance, Cliff Sparks had his sighting a full year before the A-Bear Road incident. And he saw a creature, and that creature had red glowing eyes, was about 7 to 8 feet tall. A year later, we have the A-Bear Road incident, in which law enforcement agencies are involved. And so these became landmark cases throughout the years. But before that, you can go back to the 1800s and so forth, and you have descriptions of wild men and wild creatures in the woods.
But when it comes to Bigfoot sightings, it doesn't stop there. On February 2020, a YouTube channel by the name of We Do It Outdoors went hunting in South Fork Park in Ohio. At the time, they got permission to fly their drone over the 17,000-acre area. They were aiming at recording wildlife with their drone to help them on their hunting trip. But they ended up recording something else entirely. While they were flying their drone, they accidentally captured two humanoid figures, something that they couldn't exactly figure out what it was.
Husband and
So
wife.
they landed their drone immediately and tried to cover the area so they could reach it to find out what it was that they were looking at. And this is what they caught on camera.
Oh no. So I'm wondering, is this person sitting on one of those hunting perches? Oh my goodness. No, it sounds like he's walking through the leaves. Come on, come back up. Yes.
Look at it.
Yes. Yes, yes. No, no, no.
To walk out here in a suit. Get shot.
That's amazing.
And his hair's gray.
Wow.
Is that gray?
Whatever it was that they caught on camera, being that they were very silent, it didn't notice them. And at a certain moment, you can actually hear it growl. It doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard before, but I want to know your take. Listen to this.
Whoa, shit.
Now, if this is the real deal, I'm not too sure. What I do know, however, is that about 220 miles from South Fork State Park in Ohio, a similar creature was spotted, but this time in Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Where did that thing?
On September
Not
16,
Kentucky, but
2008,
Kentucky.
Bailey Canterbury was mountain hiking with a friend of his at Indian Fort Mountain near Berea in Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Where the hell did that thing go? Had to be scared, dude. What the is that thing? Do you see it?
Now, the thing about Indian Fort Mountain is that it's located in Berea Forest, and there's something definitely odd about this place.
It's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Wow.
About 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, an unknown civilization built stone walls all over Berea forests. And to this date, historians and archaeologists have absolutely no idea who built it or why.
This is a Hopewell fault with stone walls, although it would seem that most of the stone walls have been destroyed. Literally hundreds, possibly even thousands of miles of stone walls. Many of them connect with chambers and other natural features like caves and rock shelves.
There are also ancient ruins that were found on the mountain base, and it is believed that they were either built by the Hopewell, the Adena, or the Shawnee tribe thousands of years ago. And to make things even stranger, at some point in the 1700s, an Englishman by the name of Thomas Bullitt asked permission to fish and hunt on this land, and permission was not granted by the Shawnee tribe at the time because they said it wasn't theirs to give. According to the Shawnee tribe, it was owned by spirits that roamed the area. So on one side, you have ancient constructions that are a complete mystery, and on the other side, you have supposed spirits that own the land. Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger on one sunny afternoon when Bailey Canterbury was mountain hiking with a friend of his on Indian Fort Mountain, and this is what they saw.
Do you see it?
Shit.
I hear the bushes moving. What the hell is that thing, man? Are you getting it on the camera?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hold on.
I'm trying to focus.
Where'd it go?
It's behind those bushes, man. Look.
Oh,
my
God.
What is that
Lord,
thing, man?
look at
It's
that.
that big.
There
It's
it
not
is,
coming up here, is it?
covering.
No, I don't even think it
Intense.
recognizes, man. Calm down. Be quiet.
Good Lord, look at that thing. I was like, I really in the mist, but not.
What is that thing? Is that a bear? What the is that? Dude, we gotta get out of here.
Hold on, man. I don't think it doesn't even know where it is.
Like
At
200
first,
feet
Bailey
above it,
Canterbury
like it's
and
gonna
his
just
friend
spring
believed they
up and
caught some sort
kick
of
your ass.
bear on camera. But after some time, they zoom in on the creature and get a real good glimpse of
It's
it,
not a bear.
and
It's
slowly
not a bear at all.
realize that whatever this thing is,
It's
this is no bear.
Gigantopithecus.
This is something else entirely,
AKA
and this
Bigfoot.
is what they caught on
AKA
camera.
Sasquatch.
What the is that thing, man?
Good Lord, dude. Look at this. You can hear the shutter going.
Dude, I'm about to get out of here, man.
That is not a bear
Did you see
with
that?
broken feet, nothing.
At a certain
That
moment in the
is
video, the creature turns its head and we can
Gigantopithecus,
see it a
aka
little bit better.
Sasquatch,
Whatever this
aka
thing
Bigfoot,
is,
aka
it doesn't look like a human being. And most internet users seem to agree. Some internet users noticed that the creature's movement is sort of odd. Not only that, many agree that the creature is very big and that it has long arms. But after watching some of these videos, the real question is, where does Bigfoot come from? Where does it live? And is it related to humans or apes and
from
monkeys?
the Stone Age.
Dean
bitches.
Harrison from Yowie Hunter's Witness Report YouTube channel
They're still
interviewed
alive. They're still
Geoff
here.
Nelson, a man who survived several encounters with this creature, and he says that these creatures are possibly something else entirely.
That I've noticed on all of them, every sighting I've seen, they don't appear to have any neck. It's just like their head sits right on the shoulders, and I've never been able to make out ears. It's covered in long hair.
Because they're like back here and they're under the
face,
hair.
I've seen pale coloured ones, and I've also seen jet black ones, like with a leathery, like a shiny leather look. Not like a primate, not like a gorilla or a monkey, and not like a human.
Gigantopithecus.
I think, I don't know if it's the missing link or
I'm telling you.
something that's
Gigantopithecus.
got trapped in
The missing link.
In your opinion,
Still
do you think that
alive.
some of these videos are
Just
just
like
an
we're still
elaborate
alive.
hoax,
They're still
or are they
alive.
the real deal? And what would you
That
do
was
if you
from the
encountered
train.
one yourself? I
That's
want to
from
know
the
your
camera
take.
somewhere
Leave your
else.
opinion under the comment section below.
Dude, and you guys should have seen the pictures from that. Like,
Within the realm of
She was
ancient
carrying
lore and legends
Babe.
of the world,
a wee
there are
little
creatures
Bigfoot
that
babe.
defy every logical explanation. Beings
Right.
that should only exist in bad time stories and myths.
Okay.
I saw it through the window. Show. Where is it?
Holy shit!
But here's the thing.
Did you see
Every
that?
century or so, we discover thousands of new species hidden in the far corners of our planet. This reminds us
Is it the
that
far
the Earth
corners
still
or the
holds
full
countless
corners?
secrets. and the existence of cryptids such as skinwalkers, mermaids, werewolves may not be as far-fetched as we once believed.
We're doing something, and you would think if it's going to come charging at you. The guy was saying, filming. No, I don't think they ever want to charge at you. I think they're trying to stay versatile, like...
Now, the topic of skinwalkers has been trending for the past few years for a really good reason. Because it's creepy. Really creepy. And taken very seriously in many different cultures. Actually, taken so seriously that it's considered to be more than just a bad time story. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is known as a malevolent shaman or witch that can shapeshift from human to animal form. In Mexican culture, it's known as a nahual, and the list goes on. In other words, every culture has a name for this mysterious creature that can somehow shapeshift.
We out here hearing weird noises in the forest. What the
what the crack?
What the
That's funny.
But the thing is, are these creatures just a bad time story or not? In today's world with so many cameras out there, there should be videos of it. And right now I'm going to show you guys videos that I believe could actually prove the existence of such creatures. On September 21st, 2022, Laura Combs was all alone with her dogs. It was late at night, and she was watching television when all of a sudden her dogs start acting as if there's someone outside. And this is what happens.
Going back to the door. Something out there.
As you can see in her Ring camera, her dogs are completely bothered by something outside. They try to call her attention, but she thinks it's probably a cat or maybe some sort of animal, and she doesn't give much attention at all. It wasn't the next day when she checked her porch Ring camera that she realized that whatever was outside was something else entirely, something that she couldn't explain. And this is what she got on camera.
The fuck? Wow.
Did you see that? What looks like some sort of shadow figure can be seen lurking in the woods watching Lauren's house. If we zoom in on the video, you can see it very clearly. Most internet users suggest that this could be an owl. However, others debate that her dogs would not be reacting in an overprotective way over an owl. Not only that, if we zoom in on the video, you can clearly see it seems to have a humanoid outline. And it seems to be pacing in a very unnatural way, as if it's floating around very quickly. And many internet users seem to agree. So whatever this thing is, it doesn't seem to be human at all. The next day, she goes out to walk one of her dogs, and this happens.
Sorry.
Luna.
It's wagging its tail. It's not threatened.
Luna.
Come on, Luna. Should I hurt the kid? Nothing.
Luna.
What the hell, dude?
At first, what sounds like a woman giggling can be heard in the background, and it catches her dog's attention. They stop, and Lauren spots what looks like the same figure as the other day. Her dog, now scared, runs back home.
Go home. Luna, go home. Come on. No, 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 no. Luna, come on.
No, I want to go over here.
After being posted, most internet users left comments saying that this is possibly a skinwalker. And I believe this is because skinwalkers are known to try to lure people into the woods by mimicking human voices. Other internet users suggest that her land might be cursed somehow. All I know is that in a third video, she wakes up with someone knocking on her window. She opens the window, and this is what happens. I suggest you wear headphones for this one.
What the hell? Can't see.
Did you hear that? What sounds like whispering can be heard right before she screams. I'm gonna replay the video, and if you're not wearing headphones, I suggest you do. Check this out. Did you hear that? Most internet users seem to agree that they can hear someone saying, "Help me," but I'm not too sure. I'm gonna leave it up to you. All I know is that this is one creepy case. If it's a skinwalker or not, it seems legit. She's scared, her dogs are reacting to it, and she actually captured something unexplained on camera one certain night.
Maybe it's alright.
But when it comes to possible skinwalker encounters, it doesn't stop there. I guess that one of the freakiest and most unexplained cases that happened recently was with an internet account by the name of GL Drone in Mexico. Now this is one page that focuses on drone footage. In other words, you'll find every kind of content in his page except for strange and mysterious things. However, there's one particular video where things take a dark turn. On one certain evening on February 2023, GL Drone decided to go camping with a couple of friends of his. On their first night camping, they heard strange sounds and they felt as if being watched. The next day, they noticed that there were footprints all over the camp, and some of their things were missing. At this point, thinking that it might be someone following them, they did what anyone would do, at least anyone with an infrared drone. And they used it as a surveillance camera during their hike in the woods. And for their surprise, they actually captured what looked like someone following them around. They zoomed in on the person, and for their surprise, this is what they saw.
That is so fucking creepy. Holy shit. Did you imagine hiking towards that? It's all good, fellers.
When changing from infrared vision to a normal camera, they spotted what looked like a deer. Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger.
Is that really
They
a deer?
continue on following the deer.
Or is it a skinwalker? Or an arena? Or whatever they call it.
Moments later, however, when they check the camera, it turns out it's a person.
It looks like it's a person,
How is
but
this
when
possible?
you zoom in on it, it's a
Now
fucking
here's where
deer.
things take an even darker turn.
It's a fucking skinwalker,
At
dude.
this point, they start hearing what sounds
Sorry
like
for my
someone
language.
crying for help, and
Pardon
being
me.
that they're in a big group, they go about trying to find this person with the drone. They locate what seems to be a hot spot in the middle of some bushes. And following now what sounds like someone crying for help and the hot spot that they found on the drone, they start clearing a path to reach this person. For their surprise, they find absolutely nothing at all. They
Nothing?
actually go through this hotspot and there's
Absolutely
nothing
nothing.
there. But according to the infrared, there's something there, something that they can't see with their naked eye. After being published, the video amassed millions of views and thousands of comments, and internet users were completely baffled by this. There's absolutely no explanation to what's going on here.
Really
Most
no.
internet users agree this has to be a legit Nahual
That's looking
or
exactly at the
Skinwalker
drone.
sighting. But I
What?
want to know your take.
Deer
What
don't
do you
do
think is
that.
really going on here? And in your opinion,
Maybe they
do you
do.
think that they should have acted the way they did, or should they have done things differently? But I guess that when it comes to really strange Skinwalker videos, there's one that I think deserves a little bit of attention. And that would be a video posted by Laura Moncada on Facebook. An event that took place on September 2020 in Comuneros, a neighborhood in Cali, Colombia.
They're loud.
In the video,
Okay, you guys. Unfortunately, due to certain scripts, we do have to do our outro, but we'll continue this video. We'll finish it up. Ah, to kill it. But you guys, thank you so much once again for being my guest on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It was a pleasure having you. And thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's KPNL Radio, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, wherever else beyond the omniverse that you may have been watching or listening tonight. We had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to do it again. Next weekend, we actually have Mr. Dean McMurray. He's a military medium. And then, right after that, we have Mr. Alan Wright. That's right. Yes, we did have to try to have Mr. Alan Wright on last night, but it just didn't work out too well. Don't forget, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media. Because without you, there is no us. Night and night, love and light to all of my yous out there. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Take care of my yous, and I'll see you back here. Same crazy time, same crazy place.